So this month we're going to be working on the center border, which is found on page 6. So we're going to be going through the cutting. So for fabric 3 and 5, you'll notice that it says cut 3 1/8 inch, but it doesn't indicate what it's for. You're cutting squares, and that's going to be for the flying geese. So you'll see the cutting of the fabrics right here. We're going to move on to fabric 7. So you're going to be taking your fabric, you're going to be cutting it in one long strip with the fabric, and that's 6.5 inches. So it's really handy if you have a 6.5 inch width ruler. If not, of course, we have them here available. You can always get one, but you cut that in a length, and then you're going to be removing off of that a 24.5 inch length of fabric. So I have that cut here. I have this actually in another one of the colors that you're going to cut, and I'll just give you a tip of how I do that, because a lot of us have a 24 inch length ruler, not a 24.5 generally. And so what I did with mine is I laid it down on my mat, and then I just, now of course this would have been the 6.5 inch width of fabric here. I've already cut it down into the 1.5 inch strip per the guide, but I'll just show you how you would cut it. So there I have my 24 inches, and then I just take a smaller ruler, put it at the end. I'm measuring a 1/2 inch, and then I would just cut it off here. Okay, so I do that at my 6.5 inch width, and then once I have that, then I just fold my piece in half, which would be my 6.5 inch strip, and then easily can cut it down to my 1.5 inch strips. And then here you would need 4 of those 1.5 inch strips by 24.5 inches. I have those. And then when you see the bottom information, set remaining 6.5 inch length aside for page 7, and I have that marked here. I pin it and save it so that I don't lose it. So that's number 7. We're moving on to 12. You're going to cut 3 5.5 inch squares for the flying geese. We're moving on to fabric 13. You do the same cuts as we did for fabric 7, your 6.5 inch strip, and then cutting 4 1.5 inch by 24.5 inch lengths. That's one of them that I was demonstrating with. Let me put this out of the way. And then you have fabric left on the bottom, and you need to cut 3 5.5 inch squares for flying geese also. I'll put those side by side. That's fabric 13. And our last fabric is fabric 14. With this one, you're going to cut a 10.5 inch strip with the fabric. And you need to remove, it says here that you need to remove 25.5 inches. That's actually a typo. You need to remove 24.5 inches, because that's the same width here as all the rest. When you look at this, you have a small 24.5 inch from fabric 7, fabric 13, and fabric 14 is your wide one here. So they're all 24.5 inches. So just make that change on here. You're going to cut a 24.5 inch length. You're going to cut 4 2.5 by 24.5 inches. And then with that remaining piece here, you're going to save that, fabric 14, and save for page 12. Okay, for later. So you have 2 different pieces here that you're saving for later. Set those aside in your